Yeah, so that rubber ducky video, she's like a lot of the other YouTubers. She just goes around and gathers whatever information they want, and then they make up their own story.
Yeah.
So,
And throw her own little spin on it for some extra views, it sounds like.
absolutely.
That's exactly right. And she's gotten a lot of subs fast. All right, we're live though.
She's like
Your someone's YouTube is still on.
And gathers whatever information they want, and then they make up their own story.
You know what? It was mine. It was mine. All right. So what's up, everyone? How are you guys? And tonight's really good for making a murder of people. I have on the beautiful Lynn, who originally helped me break this story with Carmen Boutwell. And I have Carmen's brother, John, with us to really set aside any false facts that have been out, any conspiracy theories that have gone out. And John really wanted to get Carmen's story out the way it should have been told. And so that's why he contacted me. He was watching some stuff on YouTube, which is actually how he found me. But he was watching some stuff on YouTube and he got really, really upset with certain videos. So we're going to speak about it and then afterwards take some questions. I'm going to give it a little while for more people to get here. What's up, guys? Hey, Lisa. Hey, Shy Girl. Hey, Lash. Hey, Vicky. Hey, Donna. Hey, Potty Mouth. And is there anyone here that's not making a murderer that doesn't know who Carmen Boutwell is? Hey, Bubba. Hey, Mommy girls. Mommy of 3. Hey, Jane. Alright. So, let me give you a little background, though, on Lynn. If you guys haven't seen the video for this actually made it into Rolling Stone. Yes, it was under a title about possible conspiracy theories, but it did make it into Rolling Stone, and I couldn't have done it without Lynn. So that's why I invited Lynn on here, too. Lynn has followed the case as long as I have, and Lynn really started digging up information and found a connection that nobody else had discovered. So she really, she's been a big part of my early videos and discovering a lot of stuff and connecting a lot of dots. So if you haven't seen the videos from 2016, you definitely want to check them out. But you definitely want to check out this video that made it into Rolling Stone, because that's really how John contacted me. Hey, Sherry. That's really how John contacted me. So to get started, hang on. I don't know why I can't see the screen. Oh, there we go. And I wish it was on the cover of the Rolling Stone. It was in an article. Hey, Long Island Girl. Hey, Yellow Rose. I'm kind of waiting until we get to 100, then I'm going to start. Hey, Jetty Scoobs.
I don't know how you keep up with them all.
Believe me, on Drama Night, that goes to 400. It's insane. If it was on my other channel, it would be a lot higher. But for some reason, a lot of them don't come over here. I don't know why. They'll watch it when I upload it, but they just don't come over. I can't understand it. Hey, Ainsley. Hey, Dana. Dana, you watch Making a Murderer? Yes, Harry, we're back on crime. Hey, Birdie. I'm just waving at everyone all night. That'll work. Hey, Bella. On panel, we have Lynn, who I just explained. I would say she's my partner in crime in 2016 and 2017 on Making a Murderer. And we have John Boutwell, who's Carmen Boutwell's sister, who's been the core of conspiracy theories galore. I'll leave it. Is that a good way to put it, right? So, and if you're not familiar with Making a Murderer, I would suggest go watching part 1 and you'll understand. Even if you have to watch it after the live, you'll understand how it all ties together. Hey, Yelly. So, John, you can't see chat, right? Everyone's
just you and Lynn.
Everyone's saying hi to you. Thanks, Lulu. Well, Lulu, how it transpired is 2 years ago, John got a hold of me after me and Lynn made the video. And we tortured him. I'm like, I want to see your license. I want to see this. You know, Lynn, what if he's not real? What if he's a phony? Like, we had no idea if he was a troll or not. I feel so bad. I was like, give me we want to see a picture. It was bad. But we had to be sure. And then it was too much for him with all the talk and, about his sister and stuff, understandably. So we kind of left Facebook, and I didn't know if I was going to hear from him again. And then I heard from him again, and I was so excited. So John can't see chat. He can only see me and Lynn. But everyone's saying hi. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. John, even though I said it already, like, introduce yourself, how you came here, reason you're here.
Well, originally, like you said, I was watching some of your videos a while back, and that was when I decided to, this was the first time I had ever heard that my sister's death was even connected to the whole, or thought to be connected to the whole Stephen Avery thing and Teresa Hallbuck thing, and so that was a shock to me, when I saw it originally through your videos, and so then, we had talked for that, a month or two, you, I, Lynn, a couple other people, and it ended up, kind of getting to be, I guess, yeah, for lack of a better term, a little too much, but, I had still been kind of in the background watching and listening to different things, and as of recently, I had watched some other videos, and just some of the things I was hearing, very partial facts and mostly just kind of spun things to make them sound like, or just things that I had actually never heard of, and that's kind of what made me wanted to, kind of pop back up and at least throw my part in to say, that's you're kind of close here, or yeah, you're definitely wrong here. You might want to get your information set straight. And who better to help me out with that other than you and Lynn? So
thank you. So I'm going to ask you straight out the bat the most obvious question that I hear, Lynn has heard, conspiracy theorists have reported everywhere. In no way, shape, or form were you related to Teresa Hallbuck.
Not as far as I know. I mean, I guess there's, the whole family tree thing that had been found or whatever. But as far as, knowing them, no, other than from what, we had ourselves saw on TV around that whole similar time, we had really no idea of who they were. And that's about as far as it goes to this day, actually.
Okay. And because I remember you telling me this too, that the picture of Carmen that wasn't really a good representation of what Carmen looked like. I remember this vaguely.
Her graduation picture, the one that had been compared to Teresa's,
yes.
You mean? Yeah, that was, I guess, the both of us never wanted our pictures taken, whether it be, family functions, friends, or, especially school settings. But our father was kind of, proud of when we were getting those taken at school and made us dress up in things we really didn't want to dress up in and, look a certain way, to look presentable. And that was, I mean, she had looked like that on a couple occasions, but mainly, she was the kind of girl that was more tomboy, hoodies, hats on all the time, skater clothes and things like that. And, piercings and stuff and, and things like that. So, I mean, I guess compared to Teresa's, I don't know what kind of person she was either, but they were, as far as I can see, two completely different people when it came to style and looks wise,
Okay.
Right. And the actual photo that was in Carmen's obit was her graduation photo from going into high school. Is that correct? Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And so she didn't look exactly as that photo by the time she had passed away.
No, no. Her hair was a hell of a lot shorter. You know, she had gotten her eyebrow pierced, and you know, I mean, there didn't really, you know, no dramatic changes, but you know, I guess the hat and haircut and just kind of overall, if you could capture attitude in a picture, that, you know, that was what was really changed, you know, and that was who she really was, what she really looked like, as opposed to dressing up for that school photo, you know.
See, Lynn, you just brought up a really good point, because they were comparing, what do you go, when she went into high school, so she would have only been like 15 or 14.
That photo was much younger.
Okay.
Photo.
So they took...
and I have been saying that since the get-go, when people are like, oh, look at how much they resemble each other. Well, yeah, they have similar noses. Their lips were similar. But, you know, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way when I say that they didn't even have to be related for this whole thing to be a possibility. They have access to everything. And there's so many questions that still aren't answered. Like, I mean, even if Carmen is not involved in some way into this making a murder a mess, her death still needs to be investigated.
Yes.
And so that's why I still scream loud when I can. It took a toll on me. This case took a toll on me, and I had to take a step back and just watch what was going on. I ended up in the hospital sick with pneumonia for like a couple of weeks because I just couldn't function anymore. I wasn't able to sleep. I couldn't eat.
Wow.
I just really needed to find out what had happened to this girl. So I don't believe for 1 minute that anybody who gives me the argument, oh, well, you know, they weren't related. They weren't related. They didn't have to be related for this to happen. And I know that people get upset with some of the things that people say, but I will say in that person's defense who created the other video, she's correct in the fact that the timing is perfect for it to possibly be that's what they did to Carmen. So, and I don't want to sound like some crazy nut job, but I honestly feel that there's still this possibility. And why did they give all the bones away? Why did they give all the evidence that was so-called linking to Therese Hall back? Why did they give all that stuff back to the family? There's nothing left now that they can use to test those bones, even if they were able to get the bones back that they gave away.
Okay, now stop right there with that thought. John,
yeah.
There is so much talk that you didn't get the bones back for 2 weeks? What was it?
It was weeks after. It was, I believe, John, didn't in a conversation at one time we were talking, it was like December, January, when her remains came back to the family?
Yeah, it was, you know, quite a long time. I mean, as far as I remember, the exact amount of time or, you know, date, I couldn't tell you. But, I mean, it was, you know, after my father's death in 2009, he was cremated, and we received his ashes a hell of a lot quicker than we did Carmen's. I can tell that, you know.
Did they ever give you a reason why it took so long?
As far as I know, if they did, you know, that'd be something, I guess, you know, my mother would know, or, you know, even if she remembered, I mean, it'd be hard to tell you. but I don't remember, you know, I don't recall a specific reason or hearing a specific reason as to why. But then again, to be honest, I'm not sure we really asked either. You know, I guess it was just kind of something that, you know, when it happened, it kind of happened. We weren't really in a rush to get them, nor were we, you know, wanting not to have them at all. So it was kind of just, it is what it is type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, one of the biggest conspiracy theories that none of us could ever understand, and it didn't make sense, and I don't remember who had the interview where it was said, or who gave the interview where it was said, but none of us never ever understood why Kathleen Zellner would supposedly ask Scott and Barb about Carmen's bones. And
absolutely.
Did Zellner ever contact your family about it?
As far as I know, no. You know, there had been a point in time where, you know, law enforcement had reopened Carmen's investigation due to the story, you know, that had in the Herald Times. But since then, it really hadn't been asked about by anyone other than, you know, law enforcement in that second round.
What? And that was in 2014 article that you're talking about in the Herald Times?
Yeah, the one where she's holding the graduation picture.
Yeah, where your mom has her photo.
Yeah.
And at one conversation that I'd had, was said that some of the things that were said in the article that your mom really actually hadn't said, that they kind of twisted some of that stuff around. So that makes us wonder, why would they do that? Why would the news do
yeah, you know, and I guess, you know, we had wondered that oftentimes on our own, you know.
Right.
What was the reason for them reopening the investigation in 2014?
It was stated in the article. I mean, I guess really what brought it all about was after my sister was one of the very first couple of, you know, overdoses or accidental overdoses, have you, of a whole, you know, beginning amount that had spanned over the next several years and is still ongoing to this very day. And after a while, you know, after she had passed, you know, the time between the time she had passed and the investigation had been reopened, that had been happening just more and more prevalent, especially in Manitowoc, you know, Manitowoc County. And so Manitowoc wanted to do an article as to, you know, how many deaths had occurred over, you know, 2005 to that current time. So it was really just a whole rash of, you know, overdoses that had brought the whole wanting more attention to that specific subject. And it just so happened that Carmen was one of the very first to start that all out.
And that was...
So in 2014, approximately around July of 2014, that's when the news article came out. Now, we've done tremendous amount of searching, looking for information. As we all know, when Teresa Halbach went missing, there was always in the news. It was on the TV. It was in the newspaper. There was no articles in regards to Carmen's death other than her obituary. And then in 2014, they decided that they needed to have another, or have this article brought out. Conveniently, I mean, we can think about the things that happened into 2014. One, for instance, was that Making a Murderer had gotten its okay through Netflix in 2014. And Dave Remacher is mentioned in this article. So it's just, I don't know. There's a lot of what the fuck moments. Excuse my language.
No cursing. No, I'm just kidding.
But no, because I started going to your page because I could swear a lot.
But going back to Zellner for a second, what did you think when you heard or read that Scott and Barb, yeah, we know them, we'll get all the information? What did you think when you heard that?
Well, the only thing I'm going to say in regards to that is that Scott and Barb were in our Carmen group at one time. So if that's where the information came from.
John's got a whole different story.
Because, you know, you can't trust anybody.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, you never know who you're actually really talking to.
That's true.
We've learned those lessons over the years investigating this and other things. So, but they were both in our Carmen group at one point. They're not there now. They were. So I'm really like, I was like shocked when I read it. I was pissed when I read it as well, because here we are. We have an officer who was working at that time, and he had the nerve to actually misspell her name. I mean, it's just disrespectful.
See, I never believed it, though. And John, I'm going to let you answer this the same way you did in pre-interview.
Well, the whole thing was, and like I told you, to be completely honest, I only got through part 1 and half of part 2 before I couldn't listen to the shit anymore. You know, it again was just, I felt that somebody was speaking on a turn, you know, and only had a little bit of information to go on, and it almost kind of seemed to me, whether this is, you know, what was happening or not, but she was kind of filling in the blanks on her own with what she pleased, you know. And when I heard, you know, and I'd only been 2 minutes into the first video, and that was when I heard the whole Scott and Barb thing. And nothing against them, but we have no idea who they are, aside from what we've seen on the news, or, you know, or the documentary, especially. You know, that was probably where we got to know them, as far as getting to know somebody you've never seen in person goes, mainly through that documentary. But other than that, we have no idea who they were. And as to why they would have that information about my sister, why they would be approached and asked about her, I had no idea. And that was kind of irritating, because I don't see that happening. And if it's, you know, was that big of a thing where somebody, you know, say somebody in, you know, Zellner's shoes wanted to ask somebody about it, how hard would it have been for her to get a hold of, you know, my mother or myself?
Absolutely. And when I read all that information, I was thinking the same thing. I'm thinking, well, Zellner is a woman who would have absolutely no problem.
Exactly.
At all. So whatever was taking place there, and that conversation, and the fact that I don't know. If I was floored.
Who did the interview? Was it Scott and Barb? That
Scott
said
Barb,
it?
Interviewed by what's his name? Dietering. Dietering was interviewing Scott and Barb, and that's when he asked them about Carmen Boutwell.
C-A-R-M-I-N.
Yeah, well, they did a lot of misspelling.
Wow. See, I don't remember that. Hey, Allie, I don't totally remember that.
About them, if he asked the name or if they said the name, I'd have to go back and look at the document again. But maybe it was them who said Carmen Boutwell. But, you know, when we've looked through all of these documents, we've seen so many spelling errors. We've seen so many date errors. We've seen, like, I don't even know how any of those people who work in the law enforcement at Manitowoc or Calumet County, for that matter, even still have a flippin' job, because they all should be like hung out to dry.
No, I get that, but I can't get past the fact, and this, I've been like this since I heard that originally. I can't get past the fact that it makes absolutely zero sense why they would say that Zellner, like, I almost feel like it's coming from Remiker or something. Like, why would they even bring Carmen into it? There would be no reason for them to bring Carmen even into it, let alone lie and say Zellner asked them for the number. I mean, to get a hold of it, it never made sense. It was like, this is one of these what the fuck moments. Like,
right. And then, I mean, we've had such a time frame since that information came out to the public that we've seen it. The question was asked, have they notified you, John, or your mom?
No.
Anybody? Family? No. Noelle has come over and said, hey, who's this Carmen Boutwell?
No, I think I'd recall something like that.
So it's like, first of all, why, one, was it even put in the documentation? And why, two, was it even asked?
Yeah.
So,
oh, maybe they're starting to buy into the whole Carmen having to, you know, do with all this type of theory. And maybe they're just trying to find out on their own, I guess, you know.
I don't know. It's just weird.
I don't know. I'm thinking if Carmen was involved, somebody over there knew.
Yeah.
So are they trying to find information? Or are they really that stupid that they didn't know that somebody would have done that? I don't know.
I almost think that Remiker told them to say that just to, like, get the heat off of the police department. You know what I mean? Like, and Carmen's family obviously didn't even know, but it almost makes me feel like they did it intentionally, and they told Scott and Barb to say that. I can't think of any other reason they would lie. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, I'm pretty much
feeling like they were coaxed somehow into saying that. That's the feeling that I got.
But the question is, why were they hoaxed?
Yeah.
That's...
Yeah.
In an effort for law enforcement to kind of say, well, you know, that whole thing, that's not a possibility. We ourselves even looked into that one. So, yeah. I wouldn't know about that.
You know, the truth that they didn't look into anything in regards to Carmen's death, really.
Yeah.
So she died in 2005, and in 2014, they decided that they'd reopen it and talk about it. Like, please, the girl had already been gone long enough. They wasted all of those years. It's just disgusting.
Agreed. And John, another thing that comes up a lot is where and when and how she died. She was living in her grandmother's house in the upstairs or downstairs. Thank you, Potty Mouth. Either the upstairs or the downstairs, correct?
It was the upstairs apartment, and my grandma lived downstairs, and this would have been on South 19th.
Okay. And who was the friend? Because there's been a lot of rumors about the friend that was there. Now, Lynn tells me I was wrong, but I remember her having a boyfriend that she was supposed to stay away from. That she was supposed to stay away from, who was in and out of jail.
Oh, he's back in jail now.
Lynn's been following him, by the way.
Yeah, that one. But no, Gary, I personally had never met him. I'm pretty sure they were just good friends. She was, as far as I know, how do you say, I guess, pretty much lesbian and only lesbian. I had seen her with a boyfriend once, and that was pretty much an experimental thing as far as I gather, and that lasted all of maybe 2 or 3 days, and I had never saw him again. So I'm pretty sure this Gary that had been in and out of jail, who she wasn't supposed to have contact with, I think that was just a good friend of hers. She had a lot of friends that were guys, but other than that, I think that was pretty much because of the whole charges she was looking at prior to her death. I think that might have had something to do with it, where I guess they weren't allowed to have any further contact. But that's about as far as that goes.
Okay. And as far as her being a lesbian, there was a girl that was with her there when they found her dead. Was she ever looked at? Did they ever investigate her? Did she purposely OD her? You know what I mean?
The thing is, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure she was questioned, but as far as questioning goes and her being cleared of anything other than, well, just being a bystander at the time, no, I don't think she was ever investigated in a sense of being looked at as a suspect of any foul play or anything. So
this person that we're referring to was also a cellmate with Jody. She was mentioned in the Castle files. Her initials are JM. I don't like to name names, but if you look for somebody whose name starts with JESS and her last name starts with M, you'll find her in the Castle files.
Thank you. We love you. All right, Jess. What?
You're pushing my buttons.
Oh, the girl. Okay.
Her last name is M. Miller.
But she was never investigated.
No. Really? No.
Okay. And that was at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Roughly, yeah. That was when everything had transpired as far as my sister being found.
Okay.
Right.
Do you know
when she was found that morning, approximately between 8 and 8:30 a.m.? She was also due in court that morning. Now, Grandma had gone upstairs. Am I correct?
Yep.
She went to wake her, and she knocked on the door, and no one answered. And a few minutes later, Jess came downstairs and told Grandma that something was wrong with Carmen, and Grandma went upstairs and found her.
Actually, it was more like my grandma had went upstairs to, wake her up, whether it was, for the court date or for school, but something important like that. Yeah, at that time, my grandma had went up and knocked on the door, and there was no answer or something along the lines of no one answering the door physically, but a shout from the other room as to, oh, hold on a minute. And so she kind of stood and waited outside the door, and it was a fairly long wait, so long that my grandma had went back down the stairs and to her apartment when Jesse had yelled down, okay, you can come up now. And then my grandma had went upstairs and saw my sister slumped over in front of the stereo and tried to wake her up, and that was when both of them discovered that she had passed on during the night.
Why do you think Jess wouldn't let her in immediately?
That's a very good question. I guess many people wonder what happens behind closed doors. And if I could have been a fly on the wall at all that morning, it'd be a blessing, because I've wondered that for the last 13 years now. Why wasn't there a direct response? Why didn't you open up the door right away? And what was the whole business of saying, oh, you can come up now? I mean, did you try to wake my sister up and say, hey, I know if I were upstairs at a friend's house and somebody was knocking on their door, I would try to wake them up and say, hey, somebody's at your door. Instead of, oh, hold on a minute. And then later letting that person in 10 minutes later without ever even trying to notify my friend that somebody was at the door. It's awfully weird to me, and I've always thought about that. I've always wondered about that, but how you'd ever know the answer to that question aside from the one person that knows telling you the truth, you probably never will.
Do you think maybe they were naked and she was getting her dressed?
Well, as far as I know, my sister was found completely clothed. It's possible that her friend Jess was. I don't want to rule that out as, something that was completely impossible, because unfortunately it was very possible, and so, I mean, I guess, yeah, That could have been.
This girl Jess only lived the next block over from Carmen, and she stayed the night. And apparently, in the reports, she had stated that she was sleeping in Carmen's bedroom in her bed, and Carmen was in the other room on the floor, deceased. So her claim is that the knock on the door woke her. But you're right, and those are the questions, John, that I ask myself many times. If I stayed at someone's house and someone knocked on the door, I would go tell my friend where I'm staying, someone's at your door. So yeah. I question that a lot. There's a lot of things that I question.
Well, and if she had done that, and like I said, any normal person, with a fucking brain in your skull is going to go and notify your friend, hey, you better answer your door. And especially if that person is good enough of a friend to know who it is. Like, oh, your grandma's at the door. You probably should open the door. And at that point, she would have discovered something is not right with Carmen and immediately answered the door and notified my grandma, you need to call 911 right now. Instead of just saying, oh, yeah, now you can come up.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there should have been just immediate attention, immediate responses, whether my sister was completely fine and had never died and was just drunk and passed out. Either way, there should have been more of an immediate response because someone in the right mind would have said, hey, somebody's at your door. All around, it just didn't happen that way. And that right there is my first sign of saying something wasn't right.
See, my thought on that, though, I have two thoughts. One of them is she could have had drugs around and was hiding it, and naked. But if Carmen was fully dressed, I mean, did your grandma say if she was shaky at all, if she was, like, off, or if she was totally like, hey, what's up, Grandma?
No, I mean, well, not anything, specific like that I remember. But I mean, again, we'll go back to the whole statement of, okay, you can come up now. I mean, that's pretty laid back and chill, you know what I mean? Yeah, like, oh, hey, yeah, you can come up now. You know what I mean? Like,
because honestly, I'm freaking out.
Yeah, so I mean, that right there kind of shows, I mean,
something's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a few years ago, my granddaughter was here. She wasn't even a year old, and she'd been sick, and she kept having these seizures. And I put her upstairs. I live in a 2-story house. I put her upstairs. The room is right above where I'm sitting right now, and I could hear this really weird sound. And I ran upstairs, and there she was having a seizure. Well, I just scooped her, ran outside. There was a nurse who lived across the street from me, and I ran directly to her. That's the natural instinct.
Yeah.
Something like that is happening. I was here by myself with her. So I don't get this, yeah, you can come up now stuff. I don't get that at all. There was like, it just seemed too weird for me.
What happened to this girl now? Like, is she still around?
Yeah, I see her from time to time in passing.
Oh,
we don't really, I mean, I think if anything, it's, I will forever recognize faces, especially faces, that familiar. But I've changed a lot since, being around my sister and her friends. Again, I was 15 at the time. I'm 28 now. And so I look a hell of a lot more different. The whole full facial hair thing, tattoos, size and everything. So I don't think she recognizes me, but yeah, she's still around. I see her from time to time.
So a lot of people.
You're asking Carmen. Carmen was dressed. She was fully dressed. She was in the living room area on the floor near her stereo. And that's where Grandma found her. She didn't go to bed that night. She was up. She'd been up, sitting on the floor.
Yeah, Lynn just answered the question, Karen. When they found out, did she die overnight, or did she die in the morning? Like, if the girl would have answered the door immediately, would Grandma have noticed? Like, could she have been saved, or she was long gone?
She had been long gone. There was, you know, and the thing is, it was very, very common for her to be sitting cross-legged or kneeling in front of her stereo. That was one of her favorite things to do, was flip through her many, many CDs and just play them. Yeah, just all sorts of different ones. And she would sit there for hours, you know, and we'd sit up there and we'd be having, you know, a few beers, and half the time, you know, after a couple beers, we'd already gone through 30 different CDs. That's how common it was for her to be there. And so, you know, that's obviously where she was, you know, at the time in question. And I think she had been kneeling at the time or was sitting cross-legged. But when she died or passed out before she died, she had slumped forward. Right. And there was pooling of blood in and around her face. So, I mean, that signified her being gone for several hours, at least, I would say, before she was found. So, you know, I mean, whether Jess answered the door immediately or a half hour later, I don't think it really would have made any difference as to saving my sister, but it would have made a difference as to showing, well, there's nothing to hide here.
Yeah. CB had a love. She loved Ozzy Osbourne.
Who didn't love Ozzy Osbourne? Don't be picking on my Ozzy.
Very Pepsi. I must say.
Better not pick on Ozzy.
Don't pick on Ozzy. I love Ozzy.
All right. Now, John, another, I want to say, conspiracy theory that's been out there is that Carmen, that Carmen, for some reason, went to... Are you still in Manitowoc?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Okay. And that the autopsy, she had to go to, like, Milwaukee.
But, Wakasa.
But I'm
I
also...
didn't say that right.
But I'm also covering the Hascheltz case in Manitowoc now. And Ethan's body, the 7-year-old... He had to go to his autopsy was done in Milwaukee too. Is that common there? Like, to send it other places?
I mean, you know, and I couldn't tell you. It sort of makes sense to me in cases that might be criminal. As far as, you know,
it had a follow on an investigation, but nobody followed through anything. And the same. Yeah. The same damn coroner that was ruled off of the Avery salvage yard was also removed from Carmen Boutwell's case.
Yep.
I have to go for a second. I'll be right back.
Okay. But because that's, like, up until I started covering Ethan's case, that was something that's been weighing on all our minds. Like, why did they send, you know, Manitowoc has a coroner... Calumet County has a coroner. Like, why would they send it far away? But Ethan's death, same thing. They sent it all the way to Milwaukee, and I'm sitting there like, why? You know, that didn't have a conspiracy. That was, you know, standard, no other way to say it, like standard homicide. And they sent it to Milwaukee, which I found really strange. But then I realized, you know what? Carmen's bones going elsewhere doesn't seem that strange anymore, because Ethan's went to Milwaukee too. So I kind of thought that was interesting. So I didn't know if there was more to it or not.
No, not that I know. I think it's just kind of, you know, just SOP, you know, standard operating procedure, especially in criminal cases where it's kind of like a chain of custody thing at that point, you know.
Okay. And Allie, I just want you to know we're all gonna take questions and stuff. There's a lot of things just to kind of get out first, that really bother John, and that's why I'm doing it this way and not really checking chat. But don't worry, we'll hit it. I'm trying to think of. I know when we spoke 2 years ago, one of the things that you weren't sure of, or basically that we can put to rest is another rumor that went around and went around hard, is that the police paid for the funeral, the police paid for her cremation, and like, you know, they were taking care of everything. And I remember you telling me that was absolutely not true, that your dad, and I've said this over and over, and like I told you, like I have had Carmen's back on this through numerous fights on YouTube and Facebook of people saying that the police did it. And I'd say, no, they didn't. Her dad worked very hard. And I'm not going to sit here and allow you guys to say that, you know, the police paid for it and it was all on them, because John specifically said that his dad worked his ass off to pay for that cremation.
Yeah. And he did. You know, I guess my first problem with that would be, well, why? Do they pay for everyone's cremation like that? And two would be, you know, that's just not something that happens. You know, as far as I know anyway, my dad, I remember him stressing about how much he had and how much, you know, and we actually, there were other, you know, a couple other family members that threw in just so that we could get her the sort of arrangement that we did. As for paying for a place, we were very lucky, and me and my dad were going to a certain church at the time in Two Rivers, Wisconsin, and our pastor allowed us to have her services there completely free of charge. You know, I mean, so there were ways we went about things to give her the best we could and with what we had. And everyone kind of came in together and did that, as far as I remember. And that's kind of the way our family is. You know, I mean, we're kind of a different bunch of people, kind of rowdy and kind of, we're all a black sheep in one way or another. But when shit gets rough and it's time to come together, I guess that's kind of what we were good at. Maybe not so much lately. Shit's just kind of fell down to the wayside when it comes to family nowadays. But yeah, I mean, my dad and my mother did everything they could with what we had, and we didn't receive any sort of wonderful assistance like that. So,
because that, right, Allie, can I just say I understand the whole thing as to why Carmen probably was taken to Waukesha for her autopsy. That's not the point that I think that we need to understand. What happened with the actual coroner, Deb Kakich? She was told that she did not need to be working on this case anymore. She was removed from the case. She was told that she was too emotionally involved. Am I correct?
Correct. I guess I remember my ma telling me that they had spoke on several occasions, and the coroner had called my ma kind of out of the blue on a couple of occasions, and had said, you know, I'm very sorry of how this turned out and what happened to your daughter, and I just feel so bad. And I remember, well, I think we both remember thinking how kind of odd that was. I mean, do coroners, you know, again, like I said, do law enforcement pay for everyone's cremation and funeral services? Do coroners, call it?
Never heard of that before.
Family and say, oh, hi, you know, we're very sorry, but, you know, only for your family specifically. We don't usually call anybody else like that. So, you know, don't tell anybody. But that was why she was removed, you know, because it was found out by either, you know, her superiors or what have you, that she was getting a little too close. And my ma confirmed that yeah, that had happened on more than one occasion.
What do you mean by getting too close?
You know, just making, like I said, the random phone call, you know, once in a while, like just stating about how bad she felt, or, you know, I mean, just kind of out of the blue stuff like that, you know, and not in a professional manner as, okay, Mrs. Boutwell, these are the results of my findings. You know, this was just a random phone call to say how sorry she was and how bad she felt. I mean, although that does sound nice and I can appreciate that, but at the same time, that's not very likely or, again, standard operating procedure for a coroner, for any sort of county.
Right.
And John, also, one of the other speculations is that Carmen, the fact that, and I don't know if this is normal in Manitowoc, and I can't say that Carmen's the first case that I ever heard this, because it's absolutely not, but Carmen's, like her court date and stuff, her court record, they wanted, like, they kept filing stuff, or they kept trying to get her to go like a year later after she died. Is that normal in Manitowoc that they'll do that? And like I said, I've heard it happen before. It's not like the first time I've ever heard it. But a lot of people were speculating that there was something more to it, like maybe their death record didn't come out or it wasn't filed on time.
That could be very possible. I have never heard myself of that happening. I mean, you would think that, once a person is, declared deceased, that the main people that would have the immediate and direct knowledge of that would be court systems, city,
They direct and immediate enough information on Carmen being dead that they posted the fact that she had passed away on November the 8th on her 10/10. Sorry, I get so angry.
That's why I love you.
Court document that nobody in the world can see anymore unless you see our screenshot, because we did screenshot that document because that was removed from Wicca. But on the 8th, the very day that was her funeral, they had recorded on that document that she had passed away. I get so mad. I'm so sorry. I get very angry.
No, that's fine. I feel you, and the thing is that, you getting the way you do, that was why I had to kind of remove myself for as long as I did. And
we miss you, though.
Been through a lot in the last few years. Yeah, I get
it. The difference is, you're able to handle yourself more admirable than I would be. I guess I tend to get pretty mean sometimes, and then I say things, and then or I go off on somebody, and then I'm like, oh man, I probably shouldn't have said that, regardless of who they are or what situation. So I totally feel you when you say you get so upset, because I still get like that. I mean, it is what it is, because it's a very upsetting situation.
That frustrate me the most is, okay, we have so many coincidences that happen in the Making a Murderer case. And there's so many coincidences that seem to have happened that sometimes tie in with the Making a Murderer case. And just, like, for instance, Carmen's court-appointed attorney was the Manitowoc County Bar Association president, wrongful death attorney in Manitowoc. That's who her attorney was for a drug case. I don't get it. I don't get why that attorney was there. God rest his soul. And ironically, he passed on November the 3rd, 2017.
No shit.
Yeah.
See how good she is?
Wow.
Isn't she amazing? But I gotta clear something up in chat. Lisa, no. T1, KZ never spoke to Carmen's family. She never reached out to Scott and Barb. Nobody ever contacted Carmen's family. That was pure rumor. And why the rumor started, we were talking about it earlier before you got here. We don't know why it started, but it was complete BS.
Well, I mean, as to the part where if, KZ had ever, reached out to Barb and Scott, that I couldn't tell you, but I can for sure tell you she never reached out to us. That's for damn sure.
And she never said she was going to check ashes or anything like that?
Nope.
Okay.
So I've heard a rumor, And you know, I try not to discuss things that I hear. I want to be able to actually physically see them or hear from somebody who's attached to Carmen before it's confirmed. But I heard a rumor that somebody had some of Carmen's ashes and found a bone in those ashes. Do you know anything about that, John?
As far as I know, we're the only ones that possess any of Carmen's ashes. And I, in the ones that I have viewed and seen, yeah, there were small, chunks of bone that hadn't been burnt, and calcium deposits, and
Yes.
I think that I had heard that they even run ashes that are cremated through like a magnet to pull up it. Yeah, and a buddy of mine had died a while back, and his family got his ashes back, and they found his Wrangler button from his jeans that he was cremated in. And it's funny because in my sister's, I remember, along with the bits of bone that I saw and things like that, I believe an eyebrow ring or something similar of a piercing had been seen in there as well, So, but as far as I know, we're the only ones that have anything like that. But yeah, there are bits of bone here and there,
So let me ask you, John. Speaking of bones and ashes, she was buried in her favorite shirt, her favorite t-shirt, and her favorite jeans, correct?
Yeah.
I remember you telling me that.
Her favorite jeans. The sweatshirt she was wearing was actually my Texas Longhorn sweatshirt, and that was one of her favorite ones to steal from me, and I would go and steal, her sweatshirts. We had similar taste in clothing. Like I said, she was, quite the tomboy, and I was always jealous of the shit she would get. I mean, my parents never allowed me to get shit like that, so I would just steal it from her, and it went back and forth. So, yeah, clothing that just kind of represented the kind of people that, kind of person she was, kind of people that me and her were,
Okay. Do you remember what kind of jeans it was?
No, but I can tell you they weren't fucking Daisy Fuentes. They're probably like Jinko or, I don't know, Silver Tab or Levi, something baggy, something that, a dude would be wearing.
Okay, fair enough. I can't think of any other, before we take questions, I can't think of any other conspiracy theories. Did I not cover something that you can think of?
As far as I know, I mean, odds are after all is said and done, after we're done here, I'm sure I'll think of something. But I guess the point is, there'll always be more and more. Everyone, has his or her own opinion. I guess those opinions vary on how, intelligent they are, because I have seen some real good ones out there. Even before, we were doing this, I was just kind of rolling through, and one of them was Carmen and Teresa. Both families came together and planned this, and that both of them faked their deaths and disappeared, and because both families were looking at a large payout, it's just random, just ridiculous things, and so everyone's going to have their own opinion. There'll always be more and more, and especially, foolish ones, because that's, people that just want to have their say in things. And my main point is, I guess I'm on YouTube. I'm around. You're around. People, I mean, how many people view your things on a daily basis? I guess I want to get across anyone watching this. You can have your theories, and if there's something you maybe need some clarification about, ask, but don't go off and make up your own shit just because it sounds good to you, because that's how you start pissing people off,
especially family members.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know what? I'm kind of glad she did because you finally reached out to me after 2 years. But I'll tell you, I don't know if you knew that because I did not know until 2018 that video that you found me on did get a write-up in Rolling Stone with a link. And I had no idea until 2018. And I still have the article. You could still find it online. And I was like, oh my God, Lynn, did you know this? And a lot of people knew it. I did not know it. I had no idea I made it into Rolling Stone. None at all. And it was about...
somebody had pointed it out back, I think, when I was... somebody had sent me a text one day and said they saw something on Facebook, and I kind of went and looked it up, and sure enough, yeah, I saw it, and yeah, I guess my reaction was the same. It was pretty much, holy shit, it made it in something, not just YouTube where, anyone can put anything they want on there. I mean, this is fucking Rolling Stone, and it got that far, and I was like, damn, I happen to know where that came from too, and I was kind of proud of where that came from. So
thank you. I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I was so dumbfounded. I was like, I made it in Rolling Stone 2 years ago and didn't even know it. I was like, I can't believe it. I mean, I hate that it was under conspiracy theories. That may not be far off, but the fact that it was in there, I was like, wow. And everyone's like, did you click the link? And I said, I didn't. And I said, but I know it's me. I'm the only one that made the video back then. Like, I was the first one to come out with this. And they're like, click the link. And sure enough, it goes to a Reddit post who said I was drunk or something. And then clicked it on, and there it was. I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. So I was really excited. Lynn, do you have any other conspiracy theories you can think of or rumors before? I know Allie's got a whole bunch of questions, and probably Denise does too.
Yeah. Not really.
No? Because I can't think of any other rumors that I've heard.
Driving my husband crazy. I'll honestly tell you that my husband and my kids and my grandkids are going to be so satisfied when this all comes to an end.
I believe it.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we all still, have our times together and we still investigate some stuff together. You know that, Laura. I had to take a break from it all, but yeah. I've sunk a lot of time into this. But I hear people say the same thing, like John said, that both of them aren't dead, or that Carmen's not dead and Teresa was the one that was dead. And Carmen, and I'm just like, are you kidding me? Carmen had an open casket. People came to Carmen's funeral and viewed that beautiful girl in a casket. So yes, she's very much deceased. So and the honest thing is, and people get up my butt all the time about, oh well, I say Teresa Halbach could very well be still alive. And you know what? Today is Teresa Halbach's birthday, and it sounds disrespectful when I say these things. But however, we have no proof that the bones were Teresa Halbach's, and they've given everything away. They gave it all back. Anything that was attached that we could test to say, yes, those were Teresa's bones is gone. It's gone back to their family. Why would they do that? Why? What purpose do they have to take all of that stuff and send it away? Send it back. I get it. Right. And first of all, they even confirmed they were giving away things back to the family that they hadn't even confirmed to be Teresa Halbach. So when you have family members who are like injected, I don't care what people say. Oh, they were all really concerned. Oh, they were just helping LE. That's bullshit. I've worked with cases here in Canada. One, for instance, was Russ Williams, who was a big military guy here, not very far from the community where I live. He raped women for a long time, and then he killed 2 girls. One of them happened to be a friend of my daughter's, and he was the commander of our base here, and people, we did all kinds of search things, but nobody was allowed to be on a property. Nobody was allowed to go down into the woods where she was found. That's total bullshit. Like, why Ryan Hillgrass and all of those other people were on Avery Salvage Yard, I just can't even fathom the idea of why they were there, other than it looks damn suspicious. And they inserted themselves into that. So then that is now why people feel the way they feel. They should have never have been on, at, or near Avery Salvage Yard at all. Period.
You just made me remember something, though. I just remembered another theory. And I remember speaking to you about this, John, 2 years ago. And it's how it kind of put an end to the bones of Carmen's, or the bones could be Carmen's. The funeral or the cremation or the service or whatever was done on November 8th, correct?
Yes, I believe so, yeah.
Okay. But it was done late afternoon. Right?
It would have been actually like an earlier afternoon thing. I wish I still had the obituary, but I think the services were like 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah. And it ended at 1:30.
Yep. And right from the services, she was loaded up into the hearse and was on her way to go and be cremated. And it wasn't the 8th, the day that the bones were found on the Avery property.
Yes.
Well,
but I don't remember what time.
But they say the bones were found. There is absolutely no proof, no documentation, no grids, no pictures, no nada, nothing. There's nothing to 8. The closest we get is on Bird's death on the 10th.
Okay, yeah. And that was the day that they were claiming they were found, and they were claiming they were found, around like dusk that day?
Yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, time frames, is it possible? Is it doable? I'm not going to say it's not, so.
Right, we can't. We're all up in the air. I mean, because we can't confirm. There's no confirmation at all anywhere in regards to those bones being found. And even the fact of the damn blood in the back of the RAV, when you look at the blood splatters in the back of the RAV, as Zellner has talked, it's like, I can't even remember the term she used, but it would be like splatter from being hit in, say, the head, right? And so whatever she was hit with, it splattered the blood on the back of the door. There's not a lot of blood in the back of that RAV. And that blood in the back of the RAV, they say matched a pop can. So we don't know if the blood is Teresa Hallbach's. There's no confirmation. There's stupid tests that are done and shuffling paper, and none of the dates add up. None of the dates are in correct order. And it's just so damn frustrating.
John, tell everybody, before I take questions, a little bit about your sister. Who was she? What was she like? What do you want? What legacy of Carmen do you want people to remember about her?
My sister was a very loyal person. She had some friends that were good friends that I am still in contact with, and she had some friends that are not so good friends that I still see around. And, but I think whether they were good friends or not so good friends, a lot of people were drawn to my sister because of her personality, the way she was funny. She was also pretty serious, especially on certain issues, just, you know, like everyone else, everyone's got their things, but she was the kind of girl that would somebody's ask for you, and she was the kind of girl that, you know, would, you know, turn around and take an ass whooping for you. You know, she was very loyal, and just, I guess she had a charm about her, and you know, I could trust her with anything. I could trust her with my life. And I don't know any of her true friends and you know, family members that would disagree with any of that. You know, she was always a joy to be around. Just people kind of, you know, flocked to her, and I always admired that about her. You know, she's popular in her own kind of way, and she'd give you the shirt off her back if she had to, and but then she'd probably ask for it back a couple hours later because she was fucking cold. You know, I don't know, but she's just she's somebody that I'll never forget. You know, I mean, my daughter just turned a year on the 9th, and her name is Carmen. And that was kind of my way of honoring her and making sure that, you know, her name goes on and, you know, it doesn't just kind of get forgotten about. And, you know, someone will always carry that on. And it just so happens that that's my daughter. And I'm very proud that my daughter can do that for my sister, her aunt. And, you know, everyone that knew her feels very similar to what I do.
Congratulations. And I know you still never sent me a picture of her, though. So now I'm going to open it up.
Hey, do you one better? I'll go get her.
All right.
Oh, we'd love to see her. What are you doing? Because he wants to see her, too. Here. There she. Oh my goodness! Look at her.
Hi.
You say hi.
Hello, beautiful.
She's so cute. Hi.
Look at they're waving.
Hello, pretty girl. Aww.
Hi. Hi, Carmen.
She's being sassy. Any other time she'd be waving and talking and pointing at you. And...
Hi.
She's beautiful, John.
She's gorgeous.
Yeah, she is.
John, what was Carmen's favorite color?
I don't know if she had just one, but she liked bright colors, yellows, bright like oranges, you know, things that stood out. I mean, I guess so. If I had to say, her favorite color scheme would probably be rainbow, due to her sexuality and just her overall attitude and demeanor. I don't think she could just pick just one. She wasn't that kind of person. She had to have them all.
Guys, is there a rainbow heart or anything rainbow?
Yeah.
No, I'm talking to watchers, subscribers, followers. Is there like a rainbow heart that you guys can all throw in for Carmen? It's the lead. There you go.
Hey, there we go.
There we go. Lots of rainbows. She's so cute. Hi.
Beautiful.
Are you saying something?
Hi. Not you. Not you. You're not a cute baby. The big goober came over. So now open it up to questions. You guys have what questions? I know Allie's got questions. What questions you guys have for him? Or even for Lynn as well. So everyone is putting up rainbows, John.
I wish I could see these comments.
You'll be able to see it after I upload it. Then you'll be able to see it because I have a chat going on the window, so you'll be able to see it. So Travis says, John, my heart goes out to you and your family. The interview your mom gave to Suzanne Weiss was heartbreaking. Question, how do these conspiracy theories affect your mom and your family?
Good question.
My mom is pretty sensitive to the whole, you know, my sister aspect of things yet. My mom's battled with alcoholism herself. She's a alcoholic, and I think sometimes, you know, seeing or hearing certain things, especially the things that aren't true, it affects her in a way where she, you know, she wants to go back to drinking a little bit, you know, to kind of numb herself. It brings her back to a spot that she doesn't like being in, and which is very understandable. You know, I hope I never have to experience what it's like to lose my child, you know.
I know.
And you know, and as for my other family, I think we're just kind of to the point where we hear it and it's just kind of, we can chuckle at the stuff that's ridiculous, and we can discuss the stuff that, you know, seems possible and somewhat intelligent, but it doesn't really affect us in a negative way or really in a good way. So I guess it's just kind of a thing that we could take or leave, you know.
Except you got a bit upset.
What's that?
Except you got a bit upset at someone's video.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it depends, I guess. What I'm getting at is, we can discuss the things that are, you know, possible, or, you know, something that sounds like, yeah, that could be, you know, a possibility. But when it's something so ridiculous and it sounds just blatantly made up, that's when I start to kind of get upset, because then you're going from having ideas and discussing something that, you know, is based on facts, it's intelligent, and you're simply just discussing possibilities. That's one thing. But when, you know, something sounds so completely made up, like the whole law enforcement and Zellner approaching Barb and Scott about my sister, that is just some random shit that couldn't sound any further from the truth to me, and that upsets me. So I guess that's, you know, to kind of clarify, you know, I mean, it's one thing to have things discussed upon, you know, factual information, and things to be discussed on just sheer stupidity.
Okay. And just to clarify again, Zellner never reached out to your family, ever?
No.
Okay.
No.
Allie says, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm curious if the family is at all suspicious about anything surrounding... I think you got here late, Allie. If anyone in the family's been suspicious about what happened to Carmen.
I mean, I guess you could say anywhere from one to all of us has speculated certain points, you know, at one point or another. The whole, you know, her friend, how she answered the door when she was found thing. We all had kind of questioned that from time to time. And especially seeing, you know, the things that I had first saw, you know, back that 2 years ago, you know, regarding your videos. And we had, you know, kind of had our speculations on those topics as well. But, I mean, nothing that really, you know, hasn't been speculated about before and by a broad spectrum of people, you know.
Okay. T1 says outlandish theories need to be stopped dead in their tracks before they ever take root. T1, I tried over and over and over, but I didn't want to be rude. But I kept saying, Allie can vouch for this, I kept saying over and over, I promised John that I would never disrespect him, and everything that these people are saying are wrong. I've spoken to John. This is all bullshit. That's not how it happened. So I really, really tried to get the word out there for a long time. And Allie can vouch for that. Baby Carmen is John's pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. God bless you, John and family. Thank you, K Mello.
Thank you. She is.
Pumpkin says she's so smart, I see, and so very beautiful. Blessed baby girl.
Thank you.
Lots of rainbows. Lots of she's so beautiful. Carmen, baby, you have 100 people loving you right now. I know there were some questions earlier. Cheryl says, I'm so sorry this happened. My heart goes out to family and friends. God please bless them. Hopefully Laura will let him know. Just to be clear, Allie says, just to be very clear, before I ask my questions, I don't believe that the bones in the burn pit are Carmen's, and I'm so sorry for you and your family's loss, John. Shauna says, I am sure this is hard enough on the family. Conspiracy theories make it worse. That is very true. Okay. T1 asks, was the unidentified female that first said that CB was unconscious upstairs in her room ever identified? Yes. Again, T1 got here late. Lynn, what was the name? Jess
Miller.
Jess Miller was her friend. Heart goes out to Carmen's family and friends. All right, guys, if you asked questions earlier, so I don't have to go back up, ask again. How did it come back on Carmen's toxology report?
Yeah. Go ahead.
A lot of things, I from what I remember, but methadone, alcohol, THC, those were the ones that I can think of, just off the bat.
And was the methadone pills or was it liquid?
There was, that was never clear to me. There was talk of both or one or the other. I don't think that it was ever really ruled out as to whether it was liquid or pill form, to be honest with you.
I'm not sure they can determine that either.
I don't think they can determine it. It was just, I'm trying to find the autopsy report and the other report that you're asking about. I have so many files on my computer, I can't find anything.
Lynn worked hard. Okay. If law enforcement was so concerned about...
Her death was overdose due to combination of the alcohol and the methadone.
Yeah, that was the main contributing factors to her death was the methadone and the alcohol mixture.
Right, and that's lethal. That can be lethal with methadone and alcohol. It's known to happen.
Oh, yeah.
But how did she get the methadone? Because she wasn't taking methadone. She wasn't prescribed methadone. She smoked pot. That's it. She was a pothead. Am I correct?
Yeah, for the most part, aside from the random little, experimentations with other things, I'm sure. The one thing that I can say was just consistent was she liked to drink her Busch Light and smoke some pot. I never, really saw too much else. And that's being completely honest,
Now, Denise, so a lot of these questions we answered earlier, but I'll be happy to answer them again. So Denise said Dietering started the rumor of Scott contacting the Boutwell family. Yes. What we were saying before, Denise, is that in my opinion, and in John and Lynn's opinion, that Dietering may have fed Scott and Barb this bullshit. For what reason, we don't know yet. But there, I had said that too from the beginning. There's no way that she would have to ask Barb or Scott to get Carmen's information. It made no sense at all. So, yeah, it was like so dumb. Like, why wouldn't Zellner just contact himself?
The statement I ever read was like, well, we needed to give her the information how to contact. No, I'm sure that Zellner's heard the name flying around and she knows how to get in touch with people. So she would have tracked somebody down if she felt she needed to track somebody down.
But Zellner also didn't deny it, though. She never went publicly and said that she never asked.
And I have to say that, I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, she hasn't said anything so therefore it's not true. No, she needs to have substantial information to be able to present. So she's not going to say anything until she has everything she needs.
True. But she would know if she said it or not. And we knew, I mean, I just knew it was bullshit. Jedi Scoobs, if law enforcement was so concerned about taking, that was all a rumor. That we covered that, Jedi. The law enforcement wasn't, they had nothing to do with Carmen's funeral or arrangements or anything. That was a rumor that started. I don't know when it started, but it started a long time ago.
They did say was told to me that before Carmen was even removed from her home, they were advised that they should have her cremated.
But part of that has to do with, and John, no disrespect at all, and you know this, we've spoke about this, but they also looked at Carmen like not of Teresa. They, you know, they looked at her.
Oh, well, that's very apparent.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. There wasn't even a newspaper. Nobody contacted the papers from the police or, you know, it was very like she was a nobody. That's how they treated it. So, so to say that, you know, the police were concerned, no, that's why they treated her like that. That's why, like, I just don't know how the rumor started. But believe me, I heard it too, back in 2016. But I don't think they were concerned. I think it was the exact opposite. Like, she was just nothing. Let's just get this done and go. And that may be where the rumor started.
Absolutely. And that's where it lies with me that, like, people are always like, oh, you're all a big conspiracy theorist. Oh, she's alive and Carmen's bones are the ones. No. Carmen, what happened with me and you know, Laura, that it just kept coming back. I just kept heading back to Carmen. I found Carmen like within a week of first starting to study the case. I put all of Carmen's stuff off to one side and I kept trying to study the case. And then I'd be like, wait a minute, that's the connection right here. Okay, so she just kept coming back. So they never investigated her death. That's my key right now. That's what I want Manitowoc to investigate. What happened to this poor girl?
What were the results in 2014?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't think it amounted to much. I think that was mainly
a newspaper article. That's it.
Yeah, it was just said and done for the sheer. The article had been done, and that was law enforcement's way of saying, "Oh, okay, well now we're really starting to look into things," and it was just pretty much. A way to patronize the overall society of Manitowoc. I think, you know, it wasn't just hers. I think there were probably other cases that were reopened and re-looked into, you know, and I think it was all just to kind of appease the public after that article and during the time of that article, and it didn't go much further than that.
Okay. All right, so back to questions. I'm honestly suspicious of the friend more than anything. I can't see how she wasn't aware. At minimum, I think she delayed the grandmother to get rid of the drugs. I said that too, Allie. John, your mom stated that she was upset that they couldn't locate the person who may have given Carmen methadone pills. Was she ever able to get answers on that?
No, I mean there was an older lady, older than Carmen, but not like, you know, an old lady, that you know, was said to have given it to her. And it just so happened that, you know, whether that was a rumor or not, a couple of years down the line, my mom actually was attending an AA meeting and, you know, kind of bumped into this person in AA being anonymous. She found herself in a spot where it was kind of a situation she really couldn't confront, and it wasn't really the time or place. And I think at that point, she at least was strong enough to kind of just let it go, you know. So as far as that, you know, and then there was talk of, you know, Gary or whatever, the guy that had been locked up all the fucking time, being the one that gave it to her. I think that's about as far as we heard, but we never really found out for sure as to who gave it to her. I guess my opinion on who gave it to her, to be honest, there's a lot of thoughts on, you know, everyone, like I said, has their opinion on things, but, you know, it takes two. Unless someone puts a gun to your head and forces you to take these drugs, you know, I guess it's kind of a mutual thing. You know, yeah, they gave you the drugs, but you decided to take them. You know, it's kind of a gray area, and I'm not really sure it matters, because really what it boils down to is it's not going to change anything at that point.
Back.
Now,
so, you know,
if I remember correctly, and I think it was you that I was speaking to about this, there was a doctor or something that was selling pills or getting rid of pills, or there was a big... Was that you I was speaking to about it?
Yeah,
okay.
that was happening here in Manitowoc. That Seisman, it was in and out of the newspapers. He had been linked to just several overdose deaths. He was the doctor of a lot of people that overdosed on the prescriptions he had been given out, and I guess he lost his license here and everything. It was a pretty big thing, yeah.
And could the girl that she was with had the pills, had methadone?
It's possible, yeah. I mean, was that ever said, or, you know, no. I mean, it's a possibility, but I don't
Okay.
think that was ever said, no.
Beck says, hey, Beck. Beck says, I've always felt like there was some connection between Teresa and Carmen's deaths. It's not common for two women to die mysteriously, especially in such a small town. Beck, I also want to point out something, though. Manitowoc has a lot of deaths, but we talked about this in the beginning, but I just want to, like, really confirm it. The two pictures that everybody thinks they're so similar and they look so much alike was Carmen's entering high school picture where she was like 14, and Teresa's 24 birthday picture. So there's 10 years apart in those pictures.
Actually, the picture that had been compared to the one of Teresa's, I believe, was actually Carmen's like high school graduation picture.
Okay.
Like
17.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was her 17-year-old, 17 or 18. Did she graduate on time, early? So 17 or 18.
A question in regards to the number of drug deaths, and I just wanted to point out that at the very bottom of that news article in 2014 from Carmen's mom, they do list the number of people who have died from drug overdose. 2004, one female at age 26. 2005, one female at age 24. That would have been CB. In 2006, there were 4 males. In 2007, 3 males. In 2008, 3 males and 2 females. And it seems predominantly mostly male, but then it starts going about an even number up, and the numbers keep increasing after that, if that helps anyone. But if you can go to the news article, right at the very bottom of the news article, you'll see the numbers listed there.
And I agree. Light Truth said pill mills were very common back then. Yeah, they were.
Right.
The doctor committed suicide?
Oh shit, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
There you go.
Had he already been charged? I can't even remember the time frame of that. I racked my brain again.
I think he had been cleared, actually.
Had he been cleared of the charges?
I can't say for sure, but I want to say I think that's kind of what happened. I think he had lost his license, but there was really nothing he ended up being charged with. And so I can't say that, with 100% certainty.
Now, Lynn, since you're looking at the facts right in front of you, like Travis says, Carmen seems to be the start of an epidemic of opiate deaths. Do you see that or no?
I wouldn't say so. If he wants to go and actually read that article and down at the bottom, not the start, no. You're looking at in 2005, she was the lonely female who passed away on such a thing. And there's no other females actually listed until 2008. Two females died in 2008, 3 males. 2009, there's 6 females versus 1. So it is going back. So it starts to increase as of 2009.
Okay.
And now they start to increase. But there was 1 in 2004, 1 in 2005, 4 in 2006, 4 in 2007, 5 in 2008. And then it really increased in 2009.
Okay. Hey, Maude. Tonight's true crime. I'm trying to think if there's any other conspiracy theories, and every time someone asks a question, I think of another one to, that you can dismantle.
And so it's like, well, I mean, there's not as many now as there was in the beginning, though. But
I know. I'm glad that we got all those out, though.
I did pick up on one of those videos I had watched that kind of pissed me off. There was the whole Carmen driving that van and living in Sheboygan and the license plate being Vile Van, and I can't make this up. Her license plate was Vile Van, and well, yeah, she was probably caught driving without a license in Sheboygan, but she never owned her own vehicle, never lived in Sheboygan, and solely just stayed in Manitowoc. The only vehicle she ever had access to that could even be remotely considered hers would have been my grandmother's. So that's just kind of one little factoid. I mean, in one of these videos, it was like almost spoke like, Carmen driving this van had everything to do with this case, and really it just had absolutely nothing to do with it, whatsoever. So I just kind of point that out.
Is listed in the Wisconsin court documents as a charge, but the funny thing even about that was her address for Sheboygan is the same as her Manitowoc address. Exactly the same, except for it said Sheboygan.
It was at 1219, I think.
Right, and that is the only case still to today that, because I check regularly, that doesn't have her listed as deceased. All the other cases, and I say all, like it's like this huge number. It's not. She had the 1 in 1010, and she had, 4 maybe? But they were all pot. They were just stupid pot, silly girls smoking pot. That's all. That's all it was. Yeah. She wasn't some huge criminal. She wasn't out there like the drug doctor selling drugs, blah, blah, blah. She was a pot smoker. She got caught with pipes. And the cops obviously charge her with those things. So one other thing I don't think that we did discuss, John, was can you confirm with everyone if you feel like discussing what had taken place just prior to Carmen passing away, that grandma had taken her somewhere to a meeting?
That was when she was being questioned about her current cases before the time, and I think she had gotten caught selling marijuana or something along those lines, and they were kind of grilling her about shit here and there. They would, request meetings and try to get information out of her, and she never really had too much to say. I don't remember the specifics of it. That was quite a long time ago, but I remember the last time she was fearful, and the fact that she thought she was going to be getting into big trouble. And nowadays you get pop selling weed, and it's kind of really not too big of a thing.
No.
But back then in 2005, things were a little bit different, and and it definitely really wasn't as looked at it as medicinal and everything else being legalized in all these different states. That really wasn't going on as I can recall back then. So she was kind of scared of the fact of what might happen to her if she would get a lot of jail time, and I think they were kind of putting pressure on her as to giving up names of people and trying to get certain things out of her by just kind of threatening her with, certain punishments or, jail time and shit like that.
See, but John, hold on, Lynn. I see that differently, though, because when we look through all the files, Judge Fox gave her so many chances. And I always wondered, why he gave her so many chances. Because he really did. If you look through the file, he never really got her in trouble. And I was going to ask you, is there a connection with Judge Fox? Or, did he know your family or something? Because he really did give her a lot of chances.
No, I've been before him a couple times, and he's been pretty good with me, too. But no, we don't know him other than the fact of having the pleasure of sitting before him,
That's a good way to put it.
Well, even the 1010 charge, I still don't even understand why she had a court order to stay away from this Gary person, whom actually, by the way, he was supposed to be on a Hoover and decided to take a vacation in Texas for a while. 30 days he was gone on the run at the same time as all this stuff was happening with Teresa being missing and Carmen being found dead. This all happened in the same time span. So, and I don't even understand why she was, because I went back and looked at all his Wicca stuff and nothing really connected. He didn't have any drug charge, but he did have a charge, interestingly enough, that Ken Kratz, prosecutor. Let me just put that out. I think every case that Ken Kratz has ever worked on needs to be looked at.
That fucking guy's a weirdo.
T1, to answer your question, I'm going to let Allie answer that because I'm not going to put down John can answer it if he wants, but I don't want to go that route with other YouTubers or other articles or anything. I already got enough drama in my life. But John can say it if he wants. I don't have a problem with John saying it. I just can't say it. I won't say it.
What's the question?
I said, Laura, are these rumors coming from one particular source? If so, where, who? Give viewers the info to beware or avoid these sources. I just can't. I'm in enough shit.
Well, this person, although she was very rude to me and disrespectful, I guess I'm not gonna throw her under the bus, but I will say, I'm gonna make this sly little comment, and I'm only gonna say this because
I hope that she is either A, watching this or will watch this. All I want to say to her is, hey, Duck, are you still there just listening? I hope so. But that's about all I can comment on that.
I'm not one to diss people either, but when you're starting to read things from Reddit and other people's comments, and then you try to make it your own, it's really not the way to do it. Like, you need to dig in, you need to read the documentation, you need to read the files, you need to sort and think for yourself, not use other people's.
I agree.
I mean, Laura, since day one, I've always said to Laura, this is the information I have. You take it and you do with it whatever you think you need to do with it. And sometimes Laura and I have had a couple of words and I've said, hey, Laura, that's not what I meant when I gave you that information. So, yeah. But it's up to us. Each individual person needs to find that information out for ourselves. We can't just be repeating verbatim stuff, because I'll tell you that I know for a fact that the Redditor or the YouTuber that you're referring to read some of the stuff off of my Reddit post and took it. But that was old information. That was stuff that
those were the things that, you know, I had heard before, and, you know, stuff that I could possibly agree with, and it just so happened that it had already been stated, and it wasn't even her work.
Right. And I'm not one to say, hey, I deserve to have some thanks or whatever out of this, because that's not what this is about. We're out here trying to find the truth. And honestly, I mean, Carmen's case and the Steve Avery case and Teresa Hallbach, and that's just like a little measly handful of stuff that I've read. So it's shocking to me. I shut up for a while because I was terrified.
You probably know more about Carmen's case than the police. I really believe that.
Really struck my heart. My kids think that I'm absolutely gone gaga crazy, but they don't stop and understand that I have babies who are the age of Carmen. My daughters are, well, my oldest daughter just turned 35. So I know what they did when they were their age. So Carmen just like struck my heart. I just was like literally torn apart. Started reading stuff and I just couldn't stop. I needed to know things, and I still need to know a lot more things, but I just try to give the basic information that I can give. I don't bullshit anybody. What I say is what I found and how I found it and how I perceive it. That's all I can do. I mean, out of respect for Carmen, out of respect for John, out of respect for Carmen's mom. I mean, I've spoke with all of these people. So like, they're all part of my life now, somehow.
Aww.
Heartbreaking. Oh, you too, Laura, damn it.
Beck, let's not even get started on that. If you're about the truth, really, Brian, how about you just get F out? How's that? Peace. T1 says, thank you, John, for sharing that with the viewers. Not all of us are like that at all. Trust me. Oh, Beck, you would know that. It just hit me. I thought you were talking about my YouTube mess. That's a Twitter mess. That's a whole nother element. All right. Allie Apperson says, well, if you say you have proof and refuse to show it, or the docs you show don't say what they say they do, that's irresponsible, and how insane rumors get started. And there's been a lot of rumors about Carmen. A lot.
Is she, Allie, are you referring that to me?
No. I think she was referring it to the troll that was in here. That was saying basically, you know, that we don't know what we're talking about. And
because then again, yeah, well, we've heard all that too. How many people who are actually sitting in here watching this right now were the ones who were like, you guys are all crazy. You don't know what you're talking about.
No, not the ones in here. They're all still sitting on Twitter.
Fine amount of that in the last 3 years.
Yeah, they've been fighting on Twitter. And I haven't even been on Twitter with Making a Murderer recently at all. And Beck's been fighting these people for me, like, why does she have a PayPal link up? Why does she have her Patreon link up? Blah, blah, blah. And Beck's like, what do you care? Like, why is it your business? And they just keep going out after her. And I'm like, wow. So, Allie, anyone have any more questions? Yeah, Allie just said no. She's talking about the duck.
I gotcha, Allie.
Okay. Travis says, I think a big major problem with some others, beyond the use of others' info, is the way they connect dots. It's bizarre how they go from... Yeah, but, you know, Travis, honestly, in her first video, that was literally a twist on what me and Lynn did two years ago. She just kind of twisted it a little, but I was so mad at that video. So mad. And now you know why.
Got through part 1 and about half of part 2. I had to go and fucking drink about a 6-pack and stop watching because I was about to say shit that I could never take back.
Aww.
I thought about getting a bottle of wine tonight before we got started.
Yeah, I didn't want to be all buzzed up talking in front of a bunch of people, so I'm holding on to that one. You wait until we're done.
You both did awesome. All right, FYI, everyone, most schizophrenic individuals are conspiracy theorists. Just showing that out there. That's very true. What else? Anyone have any more questions? So We Love You says, thank you for sharing your loss and hope that we get some justice. Thank you, Lynn, Laura, and John. Absolutely, Shauna. I'm glad you can make it. With Dietering, we got a question. With Dietering asking Barb and Scott about Carmen, did Carmen's family know Scott? No. Asa, we had discussed this earlier. They did not. Zellner never contacted Scott. Zellner could have contacted Scott, but the whole thing was ludicrous. Zellner never contacted Carmen's family. And again, the pictures were not alike. The time frame could be. I'm just going to reiterate what we spoke about. Carmen did not wear Daisy Fuentes jeans. So the ones found in Avery's burn pit, could not have been Carmen's if they were going by the jeans. Carmen was... You believe it was the 8th or you're not sure? Her services.
Her service was the 8th.
It was the 8th. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It breaks my heart. You know why, Laura? I do. Beth, any issues with... Who's Beth?
Yeah, who's Beth? There was no issues with her tox report other than the fact that the determination was that the levels were high enough to kill her, and the fact that it's mixed. As anybody who's looked into that, the worst thing to mix is alcohol and methadone. It's like instant trouble.
It's sad. It really is.
It's very sad. John, hubby wants to come over and say hello.
Aww.
Bye.
I've been keeping him off in the corner, but he's got to say hello. You got to speak in here.
Hey, buddy.
Hi, Mike.
How's it going?
Good. I stepped back from the case because I would get too emotional with it all. So this one right here, she was with you.
Absolutely.
I know. Oh yeah.
How you been keeping?
Oh, not too bad. This last year, pretty busy. Carmen has been getting all of my attention when I'm not at work, and she's definitely
Is she
what
still
I
awake?
can put my time into. Something real good to put my time into, you know. And I just love watching her grow, and she's what I focus on now, you know.
Is she still awake? John, is she still awake? Is she still awake?
She probably is, because she's sassy, and then she'll fall asleep, and then probably, I don't know, 3, 4 in the morning, she'll wake up screaming, and then she'll go back to sleep, and then she'll do it again about 6 o'clock, and
she's a baby.
Yeah, so, you know.
You gonna have any more?
Because before you know it, they're grown up and moved out of the house.
I wish.
Yeah.
Bad thing, by the way. It's a great thing.
Trying to get mine out. Still got a few more years left.
It'll happen eventually.
Well, you tell Mike Lynn that it was good seeing him.
Yes. He's standing off in the shadows.
I'm sure we'll talk again.
All right.
So John, T1 says, thank you all for bringing this issue forward and reporting on it. Special thanks to John. Take care of baby angel Carmen. Now I just lost it. Take care of baby angel Carmen. Much love and respect. I was going to say, what's MLR? Much love and respect.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
So Kim says, I'm not sure what or who y'all are talking about, but I send my sincere condolences and prayers. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Travis says, Godspeed to your mom and her sobriety, and you and your family. Thank you for your strength. Is answering all the bullshit.
Not a problem.
Any last questions before we close out? Wow, this was 2 hours? I didn't realize it was that long. It didn't feel like 2 hours, right?
No, not at all.
I thought it was like 45 minutes, and I'm sitting there going, this is like the shortest live I ever did. And then I look, I'm like, oh my God, it's 2 hours.
Well, time flies when you're having fun.
I know, right?
That's right.
So, John, you are welcome to come back anytime you like.
Yeah.
If any more rumors come out, but now that I have a whole crew of people that can back me, because before it was just me and Lynn was actually sick. And I'm like fighting these people on my own, and it wasn't easy. What was connection with Texas?
Oh yeah, so the person that Carmen was court ordered to stay away from.
Oh yeah.
Was on a Hoover, which is he's allowed to go to work in the day, and then he has to go into jail and spend the night and get up in the morning, go back to work, blah, blah, blah. That's a Hoover. Well, he had a Hoover, and he disappeared on, I believe it was the 31st of October. And Manitowoc County didn't report that he was missing and put a warrant out for him for quite some time. I think it was 30 days before they actually said, hey, this guy hasn't shown back up to the jail for the night. This same person is in trouble again. So
this is Gary?
Gary, yeah.
Yeah, Lynn texts me. She says, she's like, guess who's back in jail? And I'm like, who? She's like, Gary Ski. I'm like, okay, Lynn, give me a little more. Who is this? She's like, Carmen's friend. And I was like, holy shit, you're still tracking him? So yeah, she's never, ever given up on Carmen. Ever. Like, she wants justice for Carmen. Absolutely.
Damn straight I do.
Now, is there any chance that it can be reopened?
Her case has never actually been closed.
Okay.
They just don't do anything about it. It's laying on a shelf somewhere with some dust. Like the headboard of Stephen Avery has dust. So does.
But why can your mom, like, if she's already, I was going to say mummified.
No.
If she's already cremated.
Carmen's, here we go again. I'm going to get mad. Carmen's mother had said that she wanted to know what was going on with the case, and she was told verbatim, your daughter was a druggie, get over it.
Yep. The fucking balls on that, whoever said that. I mean, that was one of the, again, one of the main things that has never left me. You know, I mean, I don't give a fuck what kind of person, you know, the person that is deceased was. You don't go and say something like that to their family members. You know, I don't care your opinion about that person whatsoever.
I agree.
That person was loved. That person had a family. And I mean, just the balls on that guy. Wow. I would like to remove them.
Yeah. So would I. Maybe kick them a couple of times before I remove them.
It is. It's sad. And I remember speaking to you about that in 2016 that, you know, it's so sad, whether it be a drug addict, whether it be a bum, whether it be an alcoholic, a hooker, a prostitute, a dancer. Like, if you're not June Cleaver, you know, if you're not an upstanding quality society member, they just don't give a fuck about you. They don't like want to take the time in doing anything or looking into anything. And even with Ethan's case, you know, I heard that the Haschelts have a worse name than the Averys do. And insiders...
I know them, and we were acquaintances, pretty good acquaintances. We used to go to the same, you know, kind of social functions, parties. I'm talking about Andrea, the mother. And, you know, I mean, so, yeah, I guess, you know, in a way I can honestly say that law enforcement would look at, you know, our kind of group as that kind of group that was always in trouble, or that possible druggy group and everything else. And, you know, and that's exactly how my sister was looked at by them as well, you know, just because we weren't up on the upper rungs of society and, you know, just upstanding citizens. And that shouldn't really matter because, you know, my sister's heart was always in the right place. And I know mine was and still is, you know, so yeah, what kind of person, you know, somebody views you like that, I mean, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter, you know.
I agree.
You know, it was a law enforcement agent who told her that.
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
Yeah, she had gone in and asked.
A pill popper or a junkie, and it probably won't, you probably never find out. Something like that.
Like Remaker said in the news article, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. Well, I'd like to take a few needles and ram them up his asshole.
Lynn getting real.
It's getting real.
It's getting
I
real.
should have maybe drink some water before I came on. This live video.
Travis, you heard that right. That Longhorn shirt was Carmen's favorite, right?
Yes.
It was one of her favorite sweatshirts to steal from me, and then I'd have to steal it back from her, and then I would pay her back by stealing one of hers and mine back, and it was just an ongoing thing. I mean, sometimes we'd even, you know, get just so riled up where we'd damn near be, you know, about ready to beat the hell out of each other, and my mom would have to step in, and, you know, it was always something like that where, you know, I'd have something that she wanted and, you know, envious of, you know, a sweatshirt of mine or vice versa. And so that just happened to be one of her favorite ones to confiscate from me, I guess.
Because Travis is from Texas. I don't know if Iman's still here. He's from Texas, too. Is Remaker the one that said it?
To be honest with you, I can't tell you who said it. I would have to ask my mother.
There's things that really we don't need to necessarily point out names and all of that. Because whatever happens if this case is reopened and we've already given all that information to the entire world, I mean, there's plenty of stuff that we don't talk about, right, Laura?
That's right.
Yeah. So we just give out certain things of information.
Don't have all your eggs in one basket.
That's right.
Very true.
It's not a good thing to have to disclose all of that information. It's kind of like Kathleen Zellner. She's not going to disclose it all either until all her cards are ready to lay out on the table.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. Travis
Yep.
is still hooked on this. Wants to know, so Texas Longhorns or Austin, Texas, where'd you get the shirt?
The sweatshirt I think I had picked up from, we used to have a sports store here in Manitowoc. Shit, I can't remember the name. It was so long ago, but they had everything that you would have to literally travel to like Green Bay or Appleton, surrounding bigger cities of Manitowoc to get. And they used to carry all these items at this very small store here in Manitowoc. And that was where we got a lot of our clothes because, you know, they simply didn't sell that at, you know, Shopko around here at the time or Walmart or something, you know. They sold more of your local teams like Green Bay or, you know, the Badgers or Brewers, you know. Yeah, it was just a small sports store. I honestly can't remember the name. Just a little hole in the wall, pretty much, downtown somewhere.
All right. Anyone have any final questions? Since it's delayed, I'll say going once.
Yeah, it's way past this old lady's bedtime.
Lynn, I'm really, really glad you came on.
A little bit too.
I'm really glad you came on.
Yeah, I
No,
know
thank you for having me. I'm glad too.
John, Travis said, tell John I will send him a Longhorn shirt. What size?
Oh, I like a 2X because when you wash them, they shrink, and I don't like wearing sweatshirts or shirts that go above my belt line. I think it makes me look girly.
All right. So he wants a 2X. And Travis, you have to.
Awesome.
I think we might have to go shopping, honey, and try and find a little mini Longhorn shirt for little Carmen.
I was just gonna say, but he said it already.
Get a picture of Patty and Carmen together with their shirts on. That would be awesome.
Absolutely. I will post it on the community page. So 2XL for him, and what size should he get little Carmen?
Oh, well, she's a year, so, you know, I don't know. She's kind of big for her age. I don't know, 13, 14 months. I don't know. Her mom's usually in charge in the clothes department there.
All right. So I'm going to close this out. Guys, I want to say thank you both so much.
Thanks for talking us into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
And Lynn, I couldn't have done this without you. I would have never gotten the details of Carmen without you. And I wouldn't have had the spunk, the spark without you. So I couldn't interview John without you being here. I just couldn't do it. You are part of Carmen. Like, it was the three of us figuring things out, and I couldn't have done it without you.
Thanks, girl.
You're welcome. And John, this video should be uploaded usually about an hour. I'm going to put it on my other channel as well, so you can watch it on either channel. And you'll be able to see all the comments and stuff. All right?
Good to see you again, John.
And John,
good to see you too.
Don't disappear. I want to keep track of that little girl.
Yeah.
And I got to give Travis your address. So I will be in touch with you tomorrow. Everyone give Carmen rainbows and rainbow hearts on the way out. And make sure you check out my other videos. Make sure you want to become a Patreon. No, we had a little downfall. It's back up. And make sure you subscribe. And I want to thank you. I want to thank We Love You and Potty Mouth Mama for the super chat. And what else do I want to say? And to the mods that will agree with me, it was so nice having 100 people in here and only one troll, then 400 people in here and 350 trolls. So it was actually nice to just relax and not have to worry about what's going on over there and just have a really, really good night. So I'm glad everyone enjoyed it. Everyone's giving rainbows on the way out.
Nice. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you having me, really.
Absolutely.
Thanks, buddy.
And John, Lynn, I will speak to you tomorrow. John, I will speak to you tomorrow and give that little girl a big fat kiss. All right?
Yes.
All right, we'll do.
Have a great night, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you later.